Okay, greetings and salutations, internet, fans of podcasts, anyone that enjoys an adult beverage. Welcome to another episode of Cocktails and Curveballs. I'll be your host tonight, Lee Morley. And before the introductions, as we always like to do on this show, and guys, I got to say how much I appreciate it because this one's important to me. We always give a shout out to our military, men and women in uniform, whether past, present, future, foreign, or domestic. And I've got a lot of family that have done that also, to our first responders, men and women in blue, who my son is one, who is a deputy sheriff. And we got to praise these guys for everything they do to keep us safe and allow us to talk this shit. So with that being said, as always, we have with me, three craziest people that I know. So we've got Pat, we've got Tyler, we got Big Jim. And I'd like to know, gentlemen, anyone drinking anything really awesome today? Who wants to start us off?
I've got today I'm drinking one of my favorite beers. It's Mango Cart. It's formulated by Golden Road Brewing. It's really tasty, really easy drinking. And anybody who hasn't had Mango Cart, I suggest you pick some up. They're awfully tasty, really good.
Okay, I like that. Anybody else got something they want to share with us?
I'm drinking go for it, Jim.
Oh, I was just going to say that you wanted to know if we're drinking something awesome, and of course, the mountains are blue.
Awesome. Well done. Attaboy, Jimmy. What about you, T?
Well, the Coors Brewing Company, it seems to run deep around here. I got a Keystone Light. Everybody knows that. Everybody that knows me knows that I've been that Busch Light bad boy since I was a young man. And due to things out of my control, unfortunately, I've had to make the jump. But it's Keystone Lights for me right now.
Wow, you going with Stones? Okay,
yeah, so getting stoned.
For us older people that actually remember when Keystone was a brand new beer, which probably isn't you, but they were the cheapest damn beer you could get. They got better. Their big selling point was the liner of the can. Didn't make it taste like a can. Do you remember that, Pat?
Yeah, bottle beer tasting a can. Yes, sir.
That's exactly right. Okay, so for me, boys, I found this is going right back to Tyler's neighborhood. I love Deschutes Brewery. This one I've looked at multiple times. and hadn't bought it until yesterday, actually. It's their Tropical Fresh IPA. And 6.5% IPA, man. And it's actually really smooth. I mean, the citrus notes are light and not overly bitter, but it's good stuff if anybody wants to try it. So on that note, gentlemen, before we get going on, a lot of stuff going on in sports right now. I mean, and I know that. I really got your guys' input on this because I think you all follow the UFC and MMA a little bit more than I do. Back in the day, I was a big fan and I really paid attention. I've dropped off a little bit, but there's something going on right now after last night's fights. Okay. And he's a homegrown guy. He was born in Helena, Montana, Sugar Sean O'Malley. And I know bantamweight. So Sterling won. So was it Cerudo that came in after 3 years off?
Yeah, Cejudo.
After 3 years off and came back, and he was a stud before he left. And Sterling won by decision, correct?
Yeah. Split decision.
Okay, so split decision and calls out Sean O'Malley. Okay. And Sean O'Malley I followed because, you go to any bar in my neck of the woods, there's pictures of him, flags of him hanging on the walls, and it's pride, and that looks like, according to Dana White, that's going to be the next big bantamweight fight is going to be in like August. And I'm just curious, guys, what your takes are on last night's events and what you guys think of this, because I think Sean O'Malley, he's got one loss career, and hell, maybe he can go all the way. What do you guys think? Who wants to start us off?
I'll start. First off, I thought Cejudo won the fight.
Okay.
I thought Sterling got the champion. He got the champion nod, I guess what you'd call it, But I thought Cejudo won. And, part of the way I feel about that is can we start talking about Henry Cejudo as one of the best pound for pound? I mean, he's two-time. He has beat the pound for pound, Demetrius Johnson. He beat TJ Dillashaw for titles in both of them divisions. And I thought he won again last night after 3 years of being off. And I thought he'd won last night. I thought he'd done enough. As far as O'Malley and Sterling go, man, I don't know. I think O'Malley might need a couple more. I think he needs to climb that ladder just a little more.
Okay, didn't he refuse a title shot before?
Well, his last fight, he beat Piotr Jan, right? And Jan is one of those guys that's always up around the very top. He was kicking the dog shit out of Aljamain Sterling in their first fight before he kicked him in the face, before he blasted him in the face when he was on the ground. Yeah, kneed him. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And then Sterling beat him. There was a rematch. Sterling beat Jan. I don't know. I think Sterling got a little bit of that championship leeway in that fight last night. And Cejudo, I hope he doesn't hang him back up, because he's one of the most decorated combat athletes in the world of all time. I mean, he's still, like, in the time that he's had off, if anybody wants to take the time to look at some of the guys that he's helped train, I mean, it's murderer's row. Cejudo, I mean, people are seeking out Henry Cejudo to learn from him. And two-division champion, you know, I think, but to just what you're talking about with O'Malley, I don't know. It seems like he's one of those guys that's getting manufactured by the UFC. That's that's not to say that he's not talented, and he's a great striker. He's got crazy the way that he goes about fights is wild, you know, but to fight those top level guys that's another deal.
But that's what I was thinking. I was like, is this guy just an image that the UFC's pumping out there? Or is he that good? Now you look at his record, it appears that he's pretty damn good.
Well, when he fought Jan, and somebody again can fact check me, I don't know that O'Malley was ranked in the top 10, let alone maybe the top 15. But with his record, they boosted him up. He fought Jan and he won. I mean, he beat Jan. So
there was a lot of question, controversy on that one too, Ty.
Yeah, I agree.
Whether or not he actually did beat Jan.
I agree.
And then so going back to what you said about, is he being manufactured by the UFC? Is he really being pushed? We're going to find out as he gets to this upper echelon of his division. We're going to find out. And let's not forget, Henry Cejudo is an Olympic champion.
That's what I meant by being so decorated as a combat athlete. Like, Cejudo is a freak. Well, in a lot of different ways. He's a different guy.
Well, a couple things. First of all, I want to go back to what Jim said. I agree with you, but I also disagree with you. So if we're talking about a straight up fight about what happened last night, I agree. Cejudo, straight up, I felt like he if we're talking just straight points, I think he should have won that fight. But in the other token, as it's been through boxing, MMA, you have to convincingly beat a champion, right or wrong. You have to convincingly be a champion, and I don't believe he did that. I don't. Like I said, straight up fight. If neither one are champion, absolutely, I give that to Cejudo, all day long. But the only reason why Sterling won that fight last night is because he had the belt. That's the only reason. And it was a split decision, so that just really shows you how evenly matched that fight was. The one thing, I don't know if you guys picked up on this, because last night was the first time this ever happened. So MMA or the UFC just bought out WWE. Am I right on that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
And you guys might know where I'm going with this, but never in the history of UFC have they brought a potential opponent into the ring, into the octagon at the end of the fight, and have a shit talk off, where they're sitting there talking shit back and forth. And I think the optics of that, and it might have all just been Maybe it was unplanned. I think it was, but it had the appeal of a WWE event, man. I mean, really? This is where we're going with that? You're gonna bring in O'Malley and they're gonna sit there and talk shit at the end of the fight? What was this, Triple H and The Rock? Come on, man, get out of here.
I wish.
And yeah, and so the optics are just like, oh, so is that what UFC's turned into? Is WWE?
So just on that, Pat, how about all of it? Like,
right.
Bare Knuckle. Have you guys seen how Bare Knuckle? It's
BKFC,
right?
Right.
And that's getting super, super popular. Eddie Alvarez, and he just won a fight the other night. Mike Perry, who was decent in the UFC. So just to that point, Pat, the other night, Mike Perry wins a fight against Luke Rockhold.
That's right.
Right. Two guys that, I mean, have been in the UFC, have tons of fights, pretty good followings. All of a sudden, Conor McGregor's in the fucking ring with Mike Perry, and they're doing a stare down.
Right.
And then did you guys see? Because Tank Davis and Ryan Garcia just fought, right? Huge. That's huge for boxing. That's a huge fight.
Sure.
After the fight, they're like shaking hands and laughing. They're back in their street clothes or whatever. Like, again, just on the manufactured part of it, like, I get that you got to sell tickets. You got to sell the pay-per-view, all this shit. But how far do you think that people can believe it?
Right.
At this point, like, none of this shit is real. So much of it is fake.
And then one other quick point I wanted to make on last night's fight, and I think this little nugget has gotten lost because it's been a while. Just like you said, Ty, Sterling was getting worked. He was getting worked against Jan. Yeah. Jan should have won that fight. I think if that fight wouldn't have stopped, he'd eventually knocked Sterling out. So the only reason why Sterling was even champion is because. And do you remember how big of a bitch he was?
Oh, crying in there and shit.
Not only in the octagon, but even the after fight. In the post-fight conference, he's up there. I never want to win a fight that way, and I feel horrible. Shut the fuck up, man. I mean, I can't stand Sterling. I can't stand the guy, and so he was only champion because he pulled that chicken shit fucking decision, and okay, but
wait though. Doesn't Sterling have didn't he set a record for title defenses in the bantamweight division?
He just passed Dillashaw for most wins in the bantamweight division.
Right.
Oh, is that what? Okay, I was like, holy shit! Right. I mean, you guys are acting like he's a bum, and I'm like, wait a minute, it seems like he's doing all right.
And let me retract that. This is not me, going after Sterling that he can't fight or he's a punk or he's not skilled. No, on all of that. But again, he was only champion because of the chicken shit decision to stop that fight. And per letter of the law, I'm sure it should have been stopped. Okay, it was right, but. He was getting the shit kicked out of him by Jan when that fight was stopped. And so, and to see both of them in the octagon last night, it's good. I mean, do you really want O'Malley's punk ass to win? Do you want Sterling? I mean, the perfect fight would be them to knock each other out. I can't see any one of them. I think
it'd have been better. I think in UFC's best interest, Cejudo would have won.
Yeah,
and it'd have been Cejudo and O'Malley.
I agree, 100%.
Okay,
well, I think let's go ahead.
Let me ask you guys a question real quick. Does any of this coincide with the fact that now they're at ESPN?
Maybe.
Okay, Jimmy, that's exactly what I was going to ask you guys because everything has changed. It's every weekend, man. Every weekend there's an event. I remember back in the day, you'd wait a month and a half for a UFC pay-per-view. And everybody bought it. And then when Dana White sold out, here we are. And I like it. I mean, I love watching the prelims. That's cool as hell. I mean, let's be honest. But are they oversaturating what they're doing? I mean, I think they have to pull people up to make a story to sell a pay-per-view versus it sells itself because of the talent level. I don't know, but I was thinking the exact same thing, guys.
And the number of fights, back when there was one pay-per-view every once in a while, the number of fights, 2-3 championship fights.
Yeah.
That night, even the prelims were contenders against contenders.
Yeah.
Now you're right. It has become I think, watered down. And here we go with the whole ESPN corporate bullshit, and again, ESPN is a founder, and I'm thankful for ESPN, for one, for doing what they have done with the sports viewing and the sports reporting. Because before them, it was ABC, Wide World of Sports, basically on Saturdays or Sundays. And that's where you got to see whatever you wanted to watch. And of course, the NFL, Major League Baseball, that kind of stuff. But you get to see so much more now with ESPN. So I hate to keep going after ESPN, but they are so corporate. They are so one-sided when it comes to let's just call it, when it comes to beliefs. All right. And I'm just going to leave it at that. They are so one-sided.
ESPN's going to sell whatever they have to sell to get the viewers and what they want, the advertisers. But let's step off of that for a little bit, guys. A lot going on in the world right now, sports wise. I mean, if somebody got something else they really want to chime off on as far as what's going on right now.
Yeah, there's something I want to bring up really quick. So, and not to hammer this home, but kind of ride the curtain tails of what we were just talking about. Is anybody putting any stock, or is anybody looking forward to that fight between Jake Paul and Nate Diaz, or is it just BS like his other fights?
God
Anybody?
damn, man. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that Paul is at this point, like, he's a draw. People are watching.
Right.
But how long can this dude keep fighting these old ass dudes that are ex-UFC guys, and it's like they're all doing it for a payday? I understand that. Like, don't get me wrong. I understand the money side of it. Oh, I don't understand money, but I get that all these guys want a payday. I get that. I hope Nate Diaz goes out there and busts his ass. So people
I think everybody does. I think that's
so
the
people
consensus.
will just stop, man. I want this dude's train to just fucking derail.
Right.
I'm so tired of it.
I love Nate Diaz. I love the Diaz brothers. I didn't at first, but man, they're just straight up. They're
real. Those dudes are like, they're real. You see them in the street, they are not fucking around. If you say something to them that they don't like, you're gonna catch a Stockton slap. Like, those dudes are fucking real guys.
Yeah, they are fresh. They are fresh out of Fox, man. They have no fucks to give at all.
They are.
So basically,
they are who they say they are, and I just
basically don't approach them on the street. Don't approach them on the street. Is that what we're getting at?
Not unless you want to wake up.
Paul is
not unless you're really, really tired and you want to fucking go to sleep.
Yeah.
My point to that is that, listen, if I don't know how Jake Paul keeps beating these guys. Number one, he's not fighting boxers.
Right. That's
he's
the
not
biggest thing.
Boxers. Okay. Now, Nate Diaz, for most of his career, has been considered one of the best boxers in the UFC game.
Yes.
Okay. So,
but Jake Paul isn't fighting anyone in their prime, Jimmy.
Well, it doesn't matter. Here's my point to all that. Nate Diaz might not be in his prime, but if anybody thinks that he's going to lay down for a paycheck and knock the shit out of Jake Paul, dude, they're mistaken. I am looking forward to that fight because I think Nate is going to stand right in front of him. Many better than Jake Paul have tried to knock out Nate Diaz and haven't been able to do it. I'm just going to, when he stands right in front of him and is throwing back, man, it's going to be entertaining to me.
So wait, rapid fire. Who wants to see Jake Paul get his ass knocked out? Starting with you, Jimmy. Yes or no?
Absolutely. And I want to see it be Nate Diaz.
Tyler.
I want to see Nate Diaz throw him out of the fucking over the top rope and then take him out into his brother Nate. And I hope they both fucking trash can his ass outside the ring.
What about you, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think the general 99.9% of the general public wants to see Jake Paul get knocked the fuck out. Here's the problem with that. You really want to be honest. If we're really, really being sincere about this, I don't see it happening because that's not where the money's at. The money's not in Jake Paul getting knocked out, fellas. And maybe that's not going to matter. Maybe Nate Diaz knocks him out anyways. But the money is in a close fight and in a fucking rematch. I hate to say it, but
see, you're going down an alley that happens in all professional sports.
right.
Points are shaved or reps are doing this or what. I mean, it
Absolutely.
happens. It happens. Nobody knows 100% that it does. I mean, we think maybe there's some shady shit going on, whatever league it is, but at the end of the day, you're not wrong. You know how much money they make out of 2-3 fights that are awesome, stellar fights between the same people? It's huge.
How does boxing keep paying these guys so much fucking money?
Right.
I mean, boxing was king, right? Like when I was younger, 90s, and like boxing was king. It's not anymore.
Well,
I don't even think it's close, right? But how those guys are getting paid.
Something to consider about boxing, fellas, is that boxing used to be the only fight in the game, right? So, but now you can argue that UFC has become bigger in boxing, and so all the fighters that are training for UFC, MMA, how much talent has that pulled away from the boxing industry that those guys normally would have went on to train for boxing, but instead now they're in MMA. I mean, you've got some of the best athletes in the world, literally best athletes in the world, fighting in the octagon. If the octagon wasn't around right now, they'd be boxing.
But make no mistake, it's a growth factor for every industry. It's like, okay, so UFC became a big deal, and I agree with you. They took over. They're way more popular than boxing.
Sure.
And you're right, but hell, Tyler just brought it up. Bare knuckle fight. I mean, all of this stuff spins off because everybody's trying to make money, man.
It's huge, man. There's so many. There's it, and just to the point, right? Like boxing was king. If you were the heavyweight champion of the world, you were the baddest man on the planet, right? Sure. You guys are older than me. Like that's tried and true. That is not necessarily a thing anymore, though, right? And with these different promotions, the bare knuckle fighting is badass. It's fucking rocks. There's another league, Karate Combat. I think they promote a lot of their stuff on YouTube TV that is so good. Like these guys there's just so many talented fighters, combat athletes out there in the world right now. And I don't know. I think it's a little bit of a shame that UFC, I think as a promotion, steals so much of the thunder from some of these other combat leagues. I think some of it, though, I think it's starting to catch up a little bit. Bare knuckle fighting is getting fairly popular.
So I'm going to advocate for boxing, guys. I'm going to be that guy right now. Listen, they call it the sweet science. Okay. I can't imagine being world-class boxer, the way you have to train. This isn't, and I'm gonna just give you guys something to think about. Maybe instead of they're pulling away from talent that could be boxing, I honestly believe that there's not anybody in MMA, and one of the best pure boxers in MMA tried, that could be world-class, world champion boxer. The way these guys have to train, and just everything about the boxing fight game, to me, you take away the gambling, you take away all that bullshit, and it's pure. It's two men, fisticuffs. Nobody's a better wrestler. Nobody's has a better ground game. Nobody has a better kickboxing game or a Muay Thai game or Taekwondo game. You know what I'm saying, guys? It's just two guys that have trained to do nothing but use their hands. And
it's singular. It's a singular focus on like one specific trait.
And I think that
discipline.
There is such still a following that, you ask, how do these guys still get paid? Well, the big fights, the big names are still selling out places.
But that's what's missing. That's what's missing. That's what was so big about that Davis Garcia fight, right? Is those are two guys in their prime that could have just kept skating by, fighting other guys, right? That brought, I think, a lot of attention back to boxing. And that's exactly what boxing needs. Boxing needs the best guys to fight the best guys. But that's where the UFC, MMA, shit like that, like the best guy, there's no other avenue. There's not 3 different belts that you can hold, or that a guy can hold this one, a guy can hold this one, and just kind of keep stacking up his resume. I think that's the biggest deal with boxing, is the best. And I agree. Like boxing is cool if the best guys are fighting the best guys.
Exactly. You're right. And to just a little further, do you guys know Canelo fought this weekend?
Yeah. That was not promoted very well. That was not promoted very well. And he went the distance.
Yeah, went the distance. I mean, he beat some guy that I'd never even heard of. And I follow the boxing game a little bit, but he beat up some guy but it went the distance. But anyway, it was like, oh, Canelo fought this weekend.
Right.
And that's the problem, though. I mean, the problem is with that is like they don't have the publicity on this stuff because there's so many options, man. There's so many things. Bare knuckle, you want to do UFC, you want to do whatever karate, whatever that Tyler brought up. There's so many things for you to look at. It takes more of a purist, which I appreciate what Jim said, because boxing is that pure. I mean, we've seen UFC guys try to be boxers. I'm not saying they're bad by any means, but they're not at the same level if that was all they trained. So go ahead, Pat. I know you had something.
No, I was just going to say, you just wonder, when you start getting into semantics of boxing and where it is now and where it used to be. Remember all the nights of getting 4 or 5 guys together or more, paying $70, $69, $99 for a big fight on boxing? Those days are gone. At least I don't remember. I don't remember them being here. I mean, I don't know if they still do that, charge pay-per-view, or how popular it is, but I'd say it's taken a major step backward. But sometimes I wonder, can some of this be traced back to Don King and the corruption? I'm not sure about you, Ty, but I know Lee and Jim both remember. I can give you 5 fights right now without even thinking about it that were just bullshit decisions. Your Sweet Pea Whitaker and Camacho. Sweet Pea destroyed him for 12 rounds, and it was a draw. I mean, shit like that, where, and then you find out in the aftermath, there's a judge that had just filed bankruptcy. I mean, just the corruption, man, in boxing. Even when it was at its height of popularity, there was so much corruption, and Don King stood behind all of it. And I just wonder, if Don King wouldn't have done what he did to tarnish the reputation of some of these gargantuan fights that were going on, would boxing be different right now? I mean, I don't know the answer to that,
but Pat, make no mistake. Also know that back in the day, you're talking Don King, boxing lived in Vegas, and you gotta give Don King some props because he had some mad hair happening. He ain't on Tyler's level, but he had some mad hair going on. Yeah. But it lived and died in Vegas, man. And Vegas was manufactured by the mob. Come on, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
To think that there wasn't some tomfoolery in there is, I mean, if you want to believe that, good for you. But
lots of ballyhoo, lots of rumpus. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Exactly. All right, guys. So let's step off a little bit of someone else. I mean, let's hit something else that's going on today that you guys want to talk about. That's pretty hot. Anybody got something?
Well, it appears.
Noticed? Oh, go for it, Pat. Go for it.
Just really quick note. We don't even have to spend any time talking on it, as I'm sure everybody here understands, and people that watch our podcast, I've mentioned it several times. I am a tried and true and born St. Louis Cardinals fan. Always will be, regardless of what they do. It appears that they are going to shed their 8-game losing streak. They've lost 5 in a row at home, by the way, and we have the worst record in the National League. Anybody that's keeping track. Looks like they finally put an end to their 8-game losing streak. They're 12-6. So go ahead, Ty, take it away.
You just blew me away with that. I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, my bad.
I did not. Yeah. I can't believe that the Cardinals are at the bottom of the NL.
Yeah. And
I remember now. I remember.
Okay,
sorry.
Go ahead.
Has anybody else noticed the absolute fucking world tour that Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are on?
Yeah, I see that. Yep.
Jesus
It's like
Christ,
a bachelor,
enough.
it's like a Roman
Enough.
bachelor party. It's like
Right.
they're just partying around. That's
Right.
all they're
Yeah,
doing.
they're everywhere. You turn on the TV and they're hosting something or they're on stage talk. Patrick Mahomes started the goddamn Kentucky Derby and
Hey,
went like this, said what he said, and then the camera was still on him, and he went, "Yeah, I'm gonna sign a
Everything
fake
they host
signature
is a
over here. I'm gonna
paycheck.
sign this for fake, because I don't know what to do now."
Hey,
Everything-
asking for a friend. Can Brittany Mahomes just fucking go away? I mean, just
All of
can
them.
can she just fucking go away? Oh, and did you see about Mahomes' brother? Did you hear
Yeah,
about
yeah, that's
that?
you know,
Attaboy.
there's a golf clap there.
Yeah.
All of his
Absolutely.
bullshit dancing and stuff,
Yep.
YouTube videos and
Yep.
TikToks, and now the only thing I see about him on TikToks is the charges against him. So
Yeah.
golf
Yeah.
clap.
Enjoy.
Yeah, well done.
enjoy
well
Bubba.
done.
Enjoy Bubba, you piece of shit.
Okay. So hey, on that note, I gotta jump on your loving of your St. Louis Cardinals. How much money do my Mets have in salary? They're sitting at 500. Somehow sitting at 500 right now. We're still second in the NL
Dude,
East.
You're
The
not
thing
gonna get-
No, but the thing that is interesting to me is, the one thing that stood out to me, and I was looking at this today, the Yankees are at the bottom of the AL East. How the hell would have anybody have called that? Because the Yankees are always first or second right now, and they're at the absolute basement of the AL East, and the AL East is strong, man.
Look at the AL East though right now. That's the thing. The Yankees
Oh.
are still over 500, correct?
Yeah,
Yeah.
barely.
Hey, can I throw out a quick stat to blow you guys' mind? Oakland A's in their $22 salary are only 2 games worse than St. Louis Cardinals. Go ahead, back to you.
Yeah, no, mind blown. Didn't know that. That's insane.
22. They're paying their guys like, they're literally like, you get $1 and you get $1 and you get $1, and the whole time St. Louis is 2 games better. So well done, John Mazzoliak, you overpriced vice president of operations piece of shit.
So
Okay,
Pat,
sorry,
can I ask you? Can I ask you a question? Because this
Yes,
is
sir.
curious. Because how many years? And this is starting from right now, which you did it today. How many years do you go back that you have called out for Mazzoliak's firing?
Dude, it's not just me. It's not just me. Just, you know what? Take a poll across the state of Missouri. You go to any St. Louis Cardinals fan, it's one. I mean, you might say they like Goldschmidt, they like Arenado. You might get varying opinions here and there, but one constant battle cry for for a long time has been, can we get John Mazzoliak the hell out of the front office? I mean, the guy is just he's horrible, man. I mean, everybody knew going into the season the starting rotation was going to be a huge deficit, and lo and behold, we're like third to last in starters rotation. Weird. It's almost like we were telling John Mazzoliak maybe sign a pitcher or fucking 7. I mean, I'm just saying. So whatever.
It didn't quite work out. So real quick, guys, before we run out, has anyone been paying a whole lot of attention to the NBA playoffs?
Not really. Not me. No.
Here's the thing, man. I'm going to bring this up because I have stepped away and I've been very open about that. So we have been very complimentative, but also judgmental of LeBron James. So the LA Lakers had to win a play-in game to make the playoffs this year. Okay. So they go in, they're facing Golden State, and Golden State looks real tough, and they are. They've been perennially good for 14 years, 10, 12, 14 years, whatever. They destroy, LeBron goes in and destroys the Warriors game 1. Warriors come back game 2, destroy them. I mean, it's been like there's no parity. It's like 30-point win for the Lakers, 27-point win for the Warriors, and then a 30-point win for the Lakers. And the Lakers right now, I mean, if you're LeBron James, they had a major shakeup in personnel midseason. I mean, who's coming out of this, man? I'm hoping it's my Boston Celtics. I don't know if you guys have an opinion who you think's coming out of the NBA, but if you do, let me hear it.
Well, I don't know if you didn't see this coming with LeBron James and Steph Curry meeting in this series. If you didn't see it coming somehow, I don't know. maybe you're blind. You know, were they really going to have the Sacramento Kings be there somewhere, or the Clippers or whatever? Here's the thing: on the other side of the West, you've got the Denver Nuggets, who were the number one all over, and the Phoenix Suns, which, by the way, made some moves right before the playoffs to get Kevin Durant. You know, still got Chris Paul, Devin Booker. Listen, they're both better than either of the Lakers or the Warriors.
Absolutely.
But they're not getting any kind of press. Whatever. Jesus Christ, you got to Google it to find out what that series, when it's even on, and what it is right now.
Correct.
You know, so it's whoever didn't see this coming, that this was going to be talked about for 2 fucking weeks now, the Lakers and the Warriors with LeBron James and Steph Curry and the greatest of all time and all this other bullshit. Whoever didn't see this coming, I don't know. That's what just gets me about the NBA, and going back to ESPN, who does all of the damn NBA games. They forget about hockey going on. They forget about everything but LeBron and Steph.
Hey, let me get one quick note on that. So just in case anybody is trying to keep track at home, LeBron James didn't get one MVP vote. So take that, you flopping bitch. That's all I got.
All right, Tyler, you got to give me something on that one. You got to give me something. Who you think?
I don't give a fuck.
Attaboy.
That's what I got to tell you. The NBA don't give a fuck. Sorry
Attaboy.
for anybody that's listening to likes the NBA. I don't care. I really don't. I think Steph and LeBron in a series, that's cool. Whatever. Yeah. Honestly, don't give a fuck. Right on.
Doesn't it kind of go to a theme? I mean, we've been talking about how, that's amazing how that happened, or how he won that fight even though he lost. It's like, are we getting to that point where we just believe that everything in sports is scripted right now? I mean, it
feels like it. It feels like it does.
It feels like it. It feels like it. And we're not the only ones talking about it, guys. That's the thing. True. I'm hearing this on the streets all over the place, that people are stopped watching sports, period, because of this.
Yeah, because of the rigged bullshit. And even if it's not, the thing is, you know, maybe a lot of what we're talking about isn't rigged, but boy, the optics don't look good, man. The optics tell you, is every fucking sport rigged? I mean, that's what it feels like, man.
Well, and see, and if you look back, I mean, that's exactly what everything we've touched on tonight has kind of said that. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, well, he didn't win that fight, but he was the champion. And, well, it's LeBron and Steph. I mean, there could be something very well to that. I honestly did not know, boys, until you told us that the UFC bought the WWE.
Yeah. I mean, how ridiculous is that?
Just happened.
And right
holy hell, it could be a lot of fun, too, because we a bunch of old school wrestling guys, watching wrestling.
And right on the heels of that, for the first time ever, you have a potential opponent from the getting ready to go up and fight the champion, comes in the octagon as they're fading out from the fight, and they're pointing in each other's face and talking shit.
Runs in there shirtless, rips his coat off. He's in there shirtless and shit.
Yeah,
Hulk Hogan style.
I mean,
rip that boom.
Can we just keep one fucking sport pure? Does it always have to be? Let me tell you something, brother. I mean, come on, man.
I always hoped it would be baseball. I'm not going to lie, because, you watch other things happen. But anyway, guys, hey, I want to thank you guys all for being here. Anyone that has been watching, thank you guys very much. If you need to find us, we're going for curtain calls. But if you need to find us on Facebook, Cocktails and Curveballs. Find us on Instagram at Cocktails and Curveballs, and watch us on YouTube. And make sure you click and subscribe. That would be great. And with that, boys, we always like to end our shows. Anybody got a curtain call they'd like to shout out today?
Sure do.
Go ahead, Jim.
Sure do. My boy Brad Roberts, running back from Air Force, led the nation last year in rushing. Led the nation in rushing last year from Air Force. Didn't even get invited to the combine.
Wow.
Just signed with the Commanders to come to training camp.
Damn.
Oh, congratulations, kiddo.
Good for him.
Cheers on that.
I got one. How about B. Harper? That's right. Bryce Harper, first game back. takes the pitcher deep for his first home run of the season, I think this guy is going to go on a ridiculous tear from here on out. I've always liked Bryce Harper. It's oftentimes I don't think he's got enough credit, but it's good to see him swinging the lumber. First game back, takes him deep. So good for Bryce. Cheers.
Cheers to that. Ty, you got anything?
Yeah, anybody that can sit there and watch an entire Seattle Mariners game, shout out to you, man. They're fucking hard to watch. They're the worst base running team in the league. And honestly, you don't have to watch the first 7 innings of a game. Just know that the Mariners are going to strike out 15 times but somehow get it close in the 8th or the 9th, possibly extra innings. And so yeah, anybody that can watch the first 6-7 innings of a Mariners game, good on you.
Cheers.
I'm gonna tail on that one. I'm gonna give one too because I have no idea exactly. It's pushing 500 million that the salary of the Mets is, and to be sitting 500 right now, there's no excuses, none whatsoever. But I'm actually kind of cheersing myself right now for people that can stick with a team because, damn, man, I mean, the Braves are just going to kill us and own us. They just swept us in a series. It's like, come on, man. So anyway, cheers to anyone that sticks with their team and doesn't jump bandwagons. So cheers to that, gentlemen.
Cheers.
Everybody.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Everybody have a good night. And don't forget to find us on Facebook and on Instagram at Cocktails and Curveballs. And you got a question, a comment, anything you want to say, good, bad, or indifferent, hit us up at cocktailsandcurveballs@gmail.com. Cheers, boys. Thank you.
So long.